One of my favourite things that I've made so far this year has been this star garland, and I made a little Instagram post and reel to show how I made this, but I thought it might be fun today to do kind of a full YouTube tutorial, really beginner friendly. I'm going to show you how to make the little stars, how to attach them together, but then also how to stiffen them, because for my stars I used a water and glue mix to get them to stiffen, and that just means that the ends won't be curling as much. Like I say, this should be really beginner friendly. The only stitches that you need to know is a single crochet, a double crochet, a half double crochet, a treble crochet and a slip stitch. I'm going to show two methods, one which is working into a magic ring, but you can also do it in the chain 4 method. It's completely up to you. So without further ado, let's get going. So for this project I've got some DK yarn, a 3.5mm crochet hook, some scissors and a tapestry needle. I recommend picking a hook that's slightly smaller than your recommended yarn size, and this is just so your stitches end up a little bit tighter and should stop the edges from curling. I'm going to do my first star in this yellow. I'll move these out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to show you two methods to start this star off. So the first one is the magic loop method, which is a slightly more challenging method. So the way that I like to do this is I'll get my index and middle finger and I'll pull the yarn from back to front over those two fingers, and I'll pull a nice long loop on this side and I'll just hold it there with my thumb. So I then take the thread of yarn that's attached to my ball and I wrap it around the back of my fingers and all the way around and over my first two fingers in a cross like this, and then I'll just hold it in place there with my ring finger. From here I'll take my hook and I'll insert it under that first top right of the X, and I'll just pull through the yarn on the left side underneath, like so. So from here I'll pull that off of my fingers and I'll just chain one to get the loop to hold it in place. So that is the magic loop method, and from here you'll work into this centre hole and then you can tighten it at the end. So that's one method. The other method, which might be slightly easier if you are an absolute beginner, is the chain 4 method, and you might be a little bit more familiar with this. So to do that you create a slip knot, and you do that by bringing the yarn over your first finger, and then you're going to take the loop that's closest to your hand and take that behind, like so. And then you'll just pull this first loop over to create a slip knot. From here you'll put that loop onto your hook and tighten it, and then you'll do a chain of 4. So to do a chain you just wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through the loop on your hook. That's one chain. I'll do it again, so wrap the yarn around the hook, pull through the second chain, wrap the yarn around the hook, pull it through the third, and then wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through the fourth. So once you've got your chain of 4 stitches, you'll just push your hook into the first chain that you made, and then you'll pull your yarn, so wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through these 2 stitches on your hook. So like 1 and 2. And so that is the chain 4 method. So you can see I've got a little circle here, and you'd be working your stitches into the middle of that circle. Now it's completely up to you which you prefer to do. I prefer the magic loop method for this because it just means you get a really tight circle in the middle, but please feel free to do whichever is easier. So to start this pattern you're going to be placing 15 double crochet into the centre of this loop. So it's either the magic loop or the chain 4 method. To start off I'm going to begin by chaining 3, but that chain 3 will not count as a stitch, so we'll chain 3 and then we'll place 15 double crochet into the loop. So to chain you just wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through 1, 2, 3. So here we've got our chain 3. From there we're going to start placing double crochet into the loop. So to do a double crochet you'll wrap your yarn around the hook, you'll go into the centre of your magic loop, and you'll wrap your yarn around the hook again and pull it through the magic loop. So then you'll have three loops on your hook. From there you'll yarn over and pull through 2 of those loops, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that creates your first double crochet. So I'm just going to go ahead and place another 14 into this loop. So I'll do another one with you. So wrap your yarn around the hook, go into the centre of your loop, magic loop, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through, and then wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through. So we have 2 double crochet now. So wrap your yarn around the hook, go through, wrap your yarn around the hook, through 2, wrap your yarn around the hook, pull through 2. So I'll just keep doing these and I'll meet you at the end when I've got 15 double crochet as well as that initial chain 3. Okay, so I've now got 15 double crochet and that original chain 3 in my magic loop. So I'm going to pull this short end to pull it tight, like so. And that just closes the little circle that you had in the middle. And then I'm going to go into the first double crochet that I made. So I can see here I've got my chain 3, 1, 2, 3, but I'm going to ignore that and I'm just going to go into my first double crochet. You can also work out which one it is if you count your stitches back. So if I were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I know that this stitch here is my first double crochet. So I'll just push my hook into the top of that double crochet and then I'm just going to do a slip stitch. So I'll wrap the yarn around the hook and just pull through both of those loops on my hook. So that is round 1 of the star, and the next round, there's only 2 rounds to this pattern, so the next round is where we're going to be creating the points for the star. And this is where we have most of the different stitch types, so we'll work through them together. To begin, you're just going to chain 5. So you wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to start working into the sides of these chains. So to begin with, we're going to go into the second chain from the hook, which is just this one here. So you've got 1, 2, and you're going to do a single crochet. So you push your hook into the second chain from your hook, pull your yarn through, and then you've got 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2. So that is your single crochet. Next you're going to do a half double crochet. So you're going to wrap your yarn around the hook for that. You're going to go into this next chain here and wrap around the yarn and pull through. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, and then instead of doing 2 and 2 like in a double crochet, you're just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So that is a half double crochet. The next stitch is a double crochet, so you'll wrap your yarn around the hook, go into the next chain, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through, and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. So that's your double crochet, and then the last stitch is a treble crochet. So we're going to wrap our yarn around the hook twice for that. So 1, 2, and then we're going to go into this last stitch here, last chain, which is closest to the circle. Wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through. So now we've got 4 loops on our hook. So you're going to wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through 2, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through 2, and then wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through the last 2, and that is a treble crochet. So this is the first point of your star. So to join it to round 1, we're going to slip stitch into one of the double crochets from round 1. So what you want to do is skip 2 stitches. So skip 2 stitches, not including the one that you just came out of. So you count 1, 2, and you'll go into this third one here. So you're just going to do a slip stitch into that. So put your hook into there, wrap the yarn around and pull through both of those loops. So that's your first point of your star. We're going to make 5 of these in total, so I'll do one more with you and then I'll meet you back at the end. So we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to work into the side of this chain. So into the second stitch we're going to do a single crochet. So you just push your hook in and pull the yarn through the 2 loops. A half double crochet, so yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull the yarn back through, and then go through all 3 of the loops. A double crochet, so yarn over, go into the next chain, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, and then a treble crochet. Wrap your yarn around the hook twice, go into that last chain, pull the yarn back through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to skip 2 stitches, not including the one we just came out of, so 1, 2, and go into this 3rd stitch here. So push your hook into that stitch, wrap your yarn around the hook, pull through both of those loops. So now we have 2 points of our star. So you're just going to keep doing that around, and you should end up with 5 points to your star. So I'll meet you back at the end and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've done all 5 points of my star, and now I'm just going to join back to the round 1. So here again I've come out of this stitch here, so I'm going to skip 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and I'm going to go into this 3rd stitch here, so I'll push my hook into that loop, and then I'll just do a slip stitch, so I'll pull the yarn through like so. So now I will fasten off, so I'll just cut an end for this, and I will just pull this shorter thread through the loop and pull it tight. So there is your first star. So now I'm going to just quickly show you how to weave in your ends. It's probably easiest if you just do this as you go along, so you don't have loads to do at the end. So to weave in your ends, you just want to thread the end onto a tapestry needle, and you're going to weave it into the back of your star. For this project, I probably wouldn't worry too much about your ends being really neat, especially if you're going to be having the garland against a wall, because you just won't really see it. But also if you're going to use the glue method, then it will kind of stick them in place as well. To weave your ends in, you're just going to thread your needle underneath some of the stitches, so you're going in between them, so you don't want your hook to come out on this side. So I'm just going to thread through a few of these stitches around the star, and that's probably enough for this one, and then I'll do the same with this thread as well. Once you've done that, you can just trim those ends. And there you go, there's your first star. So from here you'll want to make as many of these as you want for your garland. For mine I made 21. I've just got another one here to show you how you're going to join them together. But the next step, which is an optional one, is to stiffen the stars with a glue mixture. You could also just block it by using water and letting them dry, but using glue means that they really do stick in place. You might find that your star's kind of curling up a little bit at the ends, and especially when they're joined together for a while they might end up doing that. So this is a really good way to just stick them down. So everything I've got for this is just a little tray that I can mix my water and glue together. I've got a small amount of water in here, some PVA glue, and then I've got a piece of paper which I'll just lay my stars on after I've put them in the mixture so they don't stick to my table. So when I say 1 to 1, I do mean quite approximately. It's okay if it's not exact. It's just a way to kind of thin out your glue. You probably do want a glue that's going to dry clear. So now I've got my glue and water mix, I'm going to just cover the stars in this mixture, and I'll just place them onto this piece of paper so they'll dry. So I'll literally just place it into here, move it around, flip it over. This can be a bit of a messy job, but I really do think it's worth it. Once you're happy with how covered it is, I just like to squeeze out some of the excess. That just helps it to dry a little bit quicker. You also do want to make sure that you're not wringing the star, because that will stretch it. So just sort of press it with your fingers. Okay, so that's one, and then once you've got it, you just want to place it onto a piece of paper or just a surface that you don't mind ruining a little bit, and just press it down and make sure that it's sitting in the right position. So that's one, and I'll just do the other one. Great, so now I'm just going to want to wait for these to dry. It'll probably take about 24 hours, so I'll meet you back tomorrow when they're dry to show you how to attach them. It's been a few days and my stars are now completely dry. They are much more hard and difficult to bend than they were a couple of days ago. I did also turn them around midway through whilst they were drying to make sure they didn't stick to the paper too much. Now the last step is to join our stars together. So I'm going to use a slightly sharper and smaller needle for this, and that's just because you might find that it becomes a little bit more challenging to get into the stitches now you've used the glue on them. I'm also just going to use one of the yarn colours that I used for one of the stars, and this just makes the joining a little bit less visible. So I've cut myself a nice thread, and I'm just going to weave that through my tapestry needle. And now I'm going to turn my stars back to front, and I'm going to be threading my needle from back to front in this right star, and then from front to back in the left star. So I'm going to go to the back of the top stitches from one of the points of the star and just pull my yarn through. Like I say, it really might be stiff, so use a sharper tapestry needle if you can. And then I'm going to go from front to back on this star. I just take my tapestry needle out for now, and I'm just going to tie a double knot with these two ends. And then I'm going to take these two ends and I'm going to weave them in either side of the backs of the star. I'll just cut these threads. And that's pretty much it. From the back you can slightly tell that the stars have been joined, but from the front it should be quite seamless. So you'll just continue doing this along until you reach your desired garland length, and that is pretty much it. Thank you so much if you watched this far, I really appreciate it. Please feel free to give a like, subscribe or comment, and if you do decide to make one of these then please feel free to drop me a DM. I always love to see your creations. Thank you once again, and I hope to see you in the next one.